Hello and welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast. We're so glad you're joining us today. You know, managing your finances as you approach retirement can feel a bit overwhelming, especially when it comes to understanding tax implications.
Absolutely, Emily. A lot of folks aren't sure how to use tax-deferred accounts effectively, and that can really impact their retirement plans.
Right. So today, we're diving into that topic, and we'll explore some strategies you can use to maximize those tax-deferred accounts.
We'll talk about IRAs, 401ks, and some lesser-known options that could really benefit you. Plus, we'll touch on how to balance your investments as you get closer to retirement.
And, of course, we'll discuss some common pitfalls to avoid so you don't leave money on the table. It's all about making informed decisions that align with your retirement goals, right?
Exactly. It's important to have a solid understanding of how these accounts work and how you can leverage them to your advantage.
And we'll also share some tips on how to start the conversation with a financial advisor if you haven't already. So whether you're just starting to plan or already in retirement, there's something here for everyone.
Yeah, it's never too late to get informed and make adjustments that could enhance your financial future.
So let's jump right in and start exploring the world of tax-deferred accounts.
So, Emily, one of the things that really stands out right now is the importance of having a solid plan for tax-deferred accounts, especially given the current economic landscape.
Absolutely, David. With inflation being such a hot topic, it's crucial for folks to understand how their savings can be affected. I mean, if your money isn't growing at a pace that outstrips inflation, then you're essentially losing purchasing power, right?
Exactly. And, a lot of people don't realize that tax-deferred accounts like IRAs or 401ks can be powerful tools in this environment. They allow your investments to grow without being taxed until you withdraw the money. That's a big deal, particularly when you consider that taxes might increase in the future.
Right. And with the uncertainty around Social Security changes, relying solely on that for income in retirement isn't a good strategy anymore. People need to take proactive steps to ensure they're covered.
You're spot on. I remember working with a couple, let's call them Tom and Lisa. They were approaching retirement and were a bit anxious about the possibility of Social Security benefits being reduced. They decided to focus on maximizing their contributions to their 401k and opened a Roth IRA. This gave them a diversified approach to their retirement income.
That's a smart move. It's all about creating multiple streams of income. And considering current market volatility, having a mix of tax-deferred and tax-free accounts can really help mitigate risk.
Absolutely. Market fluctuations can be nerve-wracking, especially for those who are already retired or nearing retirement. I've seen retirees who were heavily invested in the stock market feel the pinch during downturns, and it made them reconsider their entire retirement strategy.
Yeah, the emotional side of financial security can't be understated. When you see your portfolio drop, it can trigger a lot of fear and anxiety. But if you have a well-rounded plan that includes tax-efficient strategies, it can provide some peace of mind.
Right. And let's not forget about healthcare costs. They continue to rise, and many retirees underestimate how much they'll need to budget for those expenses. Tax-deferred accounts can help cover those costs without pushing you into a higher tax bracket when you withdraw.
That's such a crucial point. I've heard stories of retirees who had to dip into their savings to cover unexpected medical bills. If they had taken full advantage of tax-deferred accounts, it might have made their financial situation much easier.
Exactly. And with the current economic trends, many people are worried about their legacy too. They want to leave something behind for their loved ones, and having a strategy for tax-deferred accounts can help maximize what they pass on.
Right, because taxes can eat into those inheritances if you're not careful. I think it's so important for people to think about not just their immediate needs, but also their long-term legacy goals. It's like setting up a financial foundation that benefits not just them, but future generations.
Yes, and it's never too early or too late to start planning. I've seen people in their 50s and even 60s who still have time to make adjustments to their retirement plans. They just need the right guidance on how to effectively use those tax-deferred accounts.
And that guidance is key. There's so much information out there, but if you don't know how to apply it to your personal situation, it can feel overwhelming. I think this is where a financial advisor can really step in and help clarify things.
For sure, a good advisor will help you navigate those choices based on your unique circumstances. And, there's a lot of information about market trends and tax law changes that can impact your decisions, so having someone who's in the know can really make a difference.
Definitely. And keeping up with the latest trends is so important. For instance, we're seeing shifts in how people view retirement savings. Some are looking more towards tax-efficient withdrawals, and others are focused on creating income streams that last through retirement.
Exactly. It's all about being adaptable. The landscape is changing, and you need to be prepared for those shifts. The way you approach your savings today can have a profound impact on your financial well-being tomorrow.
And that's why discussing these strategies right now feels so urgent. It's not just about the numbers. It's about the lifestyle you want to lead and the security you want for yourself and your family.
Well said, Emily. It's about building a financial future that aligns with your values and goals. And knowing how to leverage tax-deferred accounts effectively is a big part of that.
So with all of this in mind, what are some core strategies people can start implementing today to ensure they're using their tax-deferred accounts to their fullest potential?
So, Emily, when we're talking about tax-deferred accounts like 401ks and IRAs, it's really important to understand how they fit into your overall retirement strategy.
Absolutely, David. I think a lot of people just focus on the contributions and forget about the withdrawal phase, which can be just as critical, right?
Exactly. Let's start with the basics. A 401k is often offered through employers, and you can contribute pre-tax dollars. This means you reduce your taxable income now, but you'll pay taxes when you withdraw in retirement.
Right. And with IRAs, you have traditional and Roth options. The traditional IRA works similarly to a 401k, while with a Roth IRA, you pay taxes up front, and then your money grows tax-free.
Yes, and that's such a powerful tool. Roth IRAs can be especially beneficial if you expect to be in a higher tax bracket during retirement.
So, if you contribute to a Roth IRA, you're basically locking in your tax rate now instead of later when you might be paying more, right?
Exactly. And speaking of contributions, there are limits to how much you can put in each year. For 2023, it's $22,500 for a 401k and $6,500 for an IRA. If you're over 50, there are catch-up contributions, which can be an effective way to boost your savings in those final years before retirement.
Those extra contributions can make a big difference. Now let's talk about investment options within these accounts. People often wonder how to allocate their investments.
Right. A common strategy is the 70-30th portfolio, 70% in stocks and 30% in bonds. Stocks generally offer higher growth potential, while bonds can provide stability.
That makes sense. Especially as you get closer to retirement, you might want to shift that allocation to something more conservative to protect your capital.
Exactly. As a rule of thumb, you might consider adjusting your bond allocation to match your age. So if you're 60, you could have 60% in bonds. It's about finding that balance between growth and security.
And speaking of security, what about annuities? I know some people consider them for guaranteed income in retirement.
Great point. Annuities can provide a steady income stream, which is appealing for many retirees. There are different types, like fixed and variable annuities. Fixed ones offer predictable payments, while variable ones can fluctuate based on market performance.
So it's about finding a balance between guaranteed income and potential growth, right?
Exactly. And remember, there are different tax implications with annuities too. You don't pay taxes on the earnings until you withdraw. That can be a significant advantage if managed correctly.
Now, let's shift gears a little and talk about Social Security. It's a big piece of the retirement puzzle.
Yeah, knowing when to claim Social Security can really impact your overall retirement income. You can start as early as age 62, but your benefits increase if you wait until your full retirement age, or even until age 70.
So if you're in good health and can afford to wait, it might be worth it to delay those benefits, right?
Absolutely, the difference can be substantial. For example, if your full retirement age benefit is $2,000 per month, waiting until age 70 could mean you get around $2, $640 per month. That's a big boost.
Wow, that's a significant increase over time. And I imagine that plays into withdrawal strategies, like the 4% rule, right?
Precisely. The 4% rule suggests that you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings each year and have a reasonable chance of your money lasting for 30 years.
So if you have $1 million saved, that would be about $40,000 a year, correct?
Exactly. But it's important to adjust that based on your specific circumstances. Some might need more, especially in the early years of retirement when they might want to travel or spend more.
And that's where the bucket strategy can be useful, right?
Yes. The bucket strategy segments your investments into different buckets based on when you'll need them. For instance, you might have one bucket for immediate expenses filled with cash or short-term bonds, another for income in the next 5 to 10 years, and a third for long-term growth.
That way, you're not forced to sell investments at a loss during market downturns, right?
Exactly. And diversification across asset classes, stocks, bonds, real estate, can help reduce risk and improve potential returns.
Speaking of real estate, how does that fit into the retirement planning picture?
Real estate can be a good part of a diversified portfolio. It can provide rental income and potential appreciation, but it also comes with expenses and management responsibilities.
So it's not just a set it and forget it kind of investment, huh?
Not at all. You really need to manage it actively. And don't forget about tax implications like capital gains taxes when you sell property.
Right, and it's important to consider your overall tax strategy. You want to minimize taxes on your withdrawals, and that might mean strategically pulling from different accounts.
Exactly. For instance, if you have a mix of taxable and tax-deferred accounts, you might want to withdraw from the taxable accounts first to let your tax-deferred accounts continue to grow.
That's such a smart approach. And let's not overlook required minimum distributions, or RMDs.
Yes, once you hit age 73, you'll need to start taking RMDs from your traditional IRAs and 401ks. Failing to take those can lead to hefty penalties.
Such a good reminder. It's all about being proactive and planning ahead to avoid those pitfalls.
Absolutely. And now, as we transition into some common pitfalls,
it's crucial for our listeners to be aware of these to ensure their retirement plans stay on track.
So, Emily, one of the biggest pitfalls I see with people when they're planning for retirement is really this: sequence of returns risk. It sounds a bit technical, but it's basically about the order in which you experience investment returns, right?
Right. I think a lot of people don't realize how that can impact their portfolio, especially if they hit a market downturn early in retirement.
Exactly. I had a client a few years ago, let's call him John. He retired in 2007, right before the financial crisis. He had a solid portfolio, but because he was withdrawing from it during that downturn, it really hurt his long-term sustainability.
Oh no, that's tough. So what happened to John?
Well, John ended up having to adjust his lifestyle quite a bit. He had to cut back on travel plans and really rethink his budget. If he had waited just a couple of years to start withdrawing, he would have been in a much better position.
That's a great example of why it's crucial to have a withdrawal strategy in place. So what do you recommend to avoid that kind of situation?
Diversification is key, and having a mix of income sources can really help, If you have some cash reserves or bonds that can cover your expenses for a few years during a downturn, you won't have to sell your stocks at a loss.
That makes a lot of sense. And what about taxes, David? I feel like that's another area where people stumble.
Absolutely. A lot of retirees don't consider the tax implications of their withdrawals. They think, I'll just take money from my retirement accounts as I need it, without realizing that it can push them into a higher tax bracket.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening. Do you have a story that illustrates that?
Sure. There was another couple. Let's call them Mary and Tom. They were taking regular withdrawals from their traditional IRA and didn't account for the taxes. By the end of the year, they found themselves with a significantly larger tax bill than they anticipated.
Ouch! That must have been a shock.
It really was. They hadn't planned for it, which meant they had to adjust their spending in their first year of retirement. It created unnecessary stress. I always suggest working with a tax advisor to strategize your withdrawals.
That's a smart move. So what are some other common mistakes you see?
Well, one big one is underestimating healthcare costs and longevity. People often think they'll be fine financially without considering that healthcare can be one of the largest expenses in retirement.
Right, I mean, we all hope to live long and healthy lives, but that can come with a price tag.
Exactly! I had a client named Susan who thought she would be fine with her savings. However, she didn't account for her health issues as she aged. She ended up spending way more than she planned on medical expenses, which really drained her retirement savings.
That sounds frustrating. What can people do to prepare for that?
I recommend looking into long-term care insurance or setting aside a specific fund for healthcare costs. And remember to regularly review your health insurance options as you age, too.
Definitely. And what about asset allocation? I imagine that's another area where mistakes can happen.
Yes, spot on. Many retirees stick with the same asset allocation they had during their working years. But as you get older, your risk tolerance often changes. I've seen clients like Greg who remained too heavily invested in stocks, and when the market took a downturn, it really shook him.
That must have been stressful for him, especially if he was relying on those funds soon.
It was. He ended up needing to sell stocks at a loss just to meet his living expenses. It's crucial to adjust your portfolio as you age and consider more conservative investments as you near or enter retirement.
So what are some red flags people should look out for regarding their retirement plans?
Great question. If you find yourself constantly worrying about money or feeling unprepared, that's a clear red flag. Another is if your spending habits change drastically after you retire, indicating you might not have enough savings.
That makes sense. And what about claiming Social Security? I've heard that's a big decision too.
Oh, it absolutely is. Claiming too early can significantly reduce your benefits. I had a client named Lisa who claimed at 62 because she wanted to start traveling, but she didn't realize that her benefits would be reduced long term.
That's a decision that can really impact retirement finances for years to come.
It really can. Waiting until your full retirement age, or even until 70, can result in a much higher monthly benefit. It's worth weighing your options carefully.
So if someone realizes they've made some of these mistakes, what can they do to recover or avoid future pitfalls?
The first step is really to reassess your financial plan. Consider working with a financial advisor who specializes in retirement planning. They can help you create a more sustainable withdrawal strategy, reassess your asset allocation, and even find ways to minimize taxes on your withdrawals.
And wouldn't it also help to review your healthcare options and possibly look into long-term care insurance?
Absolutely, Emily. The earlier you start, the better prepared you'll be. Staying proactive and informed is key to a successful retirement.
It sounds like being adaptable and seeking advice can really make a difference.
Yes, and remember, it's never too late to make changes. A little adjustment now can lead to a much more comfortable retirement later on.
Well, that's encouraging. Thanks for sharing all these insights, David. I think our listeners will find this incredibly helpful.
All right, Emily, so now that we've covered the importance of tax-deferred accounts, let's dive into some immediate next steps that listeners can take. Things they can do right now to really maximize their retirement savings.
Absolutely. I think the first thing people should consider is reviewing their current accounts. If you have a 401k or an IRA, take a close look at how much you're contributing. And remember, if you're not already maxing out your contributions, that's a good place to start.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're over 50, don't forget about those catch-up contributions. They can really make a difference. For this year, that's an extra $7, $500 for 401ks, and $1,000 for IRAs. It's a great way to boost your savings as you approach retirement.
Right. And it's never too late to improve your plan. So if you haven't been contributing much, don't feel discouraged. Just start small and gradually increase your contributions. Even a little can add up over time.
Exactly. Another great tool to use is a retirement calculator. You can find these on platforms like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. They can help you project how much you need to save based on your current lifestyle and retirement goals. They're super user-friendly.
That's such a smart move. And don't forget about the Social Security Administration's website, ssa.gov. They have tools that can help you estimate your future benefits and decide the best time to start claiming them.
Right, and it's important to remember that claiming Social Security is a big decision. The earlier you claim, the less you get each month. So factoring that into your retirement planning is crucial.
Speaking of planning, what about tax software or financial planning apps? Those can really simplify things, can't they?
Absolutely, Emily. Apps like Mint or Personal Capital allow you to track your spending and savings in real time. They're great for keeping an eye on your budget, which is key as you prepare for retirement.
And let's not forget about the importance of running retirement projections. It's a good habit to get into. Maybe set a reminder to review your portfolio quarterly. That way, you can adjust your strategy as necessary.
Yes, and when you do that, take a look at your asset allocation. Making sure you're not too heavily invested in one area can help mitigate risks.
That's a great point. And if you find yourself feeling overwhelmed with all this information, consider reading some retirement-focused books or listening to podcasts.
For sure. I really recommend The Boglehead's Guide to Retirement Planning. It's straightforward and packed with practical advice. And podcasts like Retire with Purpose offer great insights too.
Those are fantastic resources. And remember, it's all about creating good habits. Start small with your contributions or your portfolio reviews and build from there.
Exactly. And if you find you need more personalized help, don't hesitate to reach out to a financial advisor. They can provide tailored advice that fits your unique situation.
So it seems like there are plenty of tools and steps available. Just taking that first step is crucial.
Yes, and remember, you don't have to tackle everything at once. Taking gradual steps can lead to significant improvements over time.
With these tools in your pocket, you're ready to strengthen your retirement plan. Let's recap what we've covered today.
Well, Emily, as we wrap up today's conversation, I think it's important to highlight a few key takeaways about using tax-deferred accounts effectively.
Absolutely, David. One big point is the importance of starting early. The earlier you contribute, the more time your money has to grow, right?
Exactly. And then there's that whole strategy around maximizing contributions. You really want to take full advantage of those limits. It can make a huge difference over time.
Right. And don't forget about the asset allocation. It's essential to balance your investments within these accounts to align with your risk tolerance and retirement goals.
Yes, and let's not overlook the tax implications when you start withdrawing. Planning for those distributions can really help you manage your tax burden in retirement.
You know, it all comes down to being proactive and strategic with your retirement planning. It's not just about saving, but about building and protecting your wealth for the long haul.
Well said, Emily. And remember, folks, it's never too late to start thinking about these strategies. Every little bit counts, and your future self will thank you.
If you found today's discussion helpful, we'd love for you to like and subscribe. And please share your biggest takeaway or any questions you have in the comments. It really helps us connect with you.
And if you know someone who's planning for retirement or is already in it, sharing this podcast can make a real difference in their financial journey.
Next time, we'll dive into an exciting topic: how to generate cash flow from commercial real estate. That's going to be a great one.
I'm looking forward to it, Emily.
Me too, David. Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.